You ever notice how a woman can go from warm to cold? Almost overnight. One day she's laughing at your messages. The next she's replying with one-word answers. Most men think it's random. It's not. It's predictable. And today, you're about to understand the 7 silent mistakes that make women lose interest instantly. Mistakes men don't even realize they're making until it's already too late. Because if you don't know what pushes a woman away, you can't keep her attention, you can't keep her respect, and you can't keep her desire. So, listen close. This might save your next relationship, or expose exactly why the last one failed. It starts with a story. A man once told me something that stuck with me. He said, "She didn't leave when things were bad. She left when I stopped being myself." At first it sounded strange, but then I realized, that's how it always happens. A woman doesn't lose interest in a moment. She loses interest in a pattern, a slow shift, a subtle change. A man who forgets who he was when she first liked him. And that's the first mistake. You stop living your life. You stop chasing your goals. You replace purpose with her presence, thinking it's love. But to her, it feels like pressure. Women don't fall for a man who revolves around them. They fall for a man who is going somewhere and invites them along. But here's where the tension rises. Because when a man starts losing himself, he starts making mistake number 2. He becomes emotionally inconsistent. Not in the loud, dramatic ways, but in the subtle ones. The doubt in his voice, the uncertainty in his decisions, the hesitation in his actions. Women can feel when a man's center is shaking, and when your internal world becomes unstable. She begins to retreat. She can't trust a man who doesn't trust himself. Then comes the 3rd mistake. You start explaining yourself too much, justifying, seeking reassurance, asking questions she never asked. You give long answers to short concerns. You overcommunicate out of fear, not clarity. And nothing kills attraction faster than the energy of insecurity. But let's go deeper. Because the 4th mistake is silent and deadly. You don't lead. Not in a controlling way. Not in a forceful way. But in a grounded, calm, masculine way. You wait for her to decide everything. You wait for her to guide every moment. You wait for her to choose the direction. Because you're afraid of choosing wrong to her. That feels like standing beside an empty frame. No backbone, no direction, no container for her feminine energy. But this next one, this one is the quiet killer of all interest. You stop being mysterious, not secrets, not games. Mystery. The depth you had before she liked you. The life you had beyond her. The sense that you were more than she could see at once. When you reveal everything too quickly, when you overshare out of nervousness, when you tell her every thought the moment it appears, you take away the one thing human psychology always craves, discovery. And once she feels like she's discovered everything, she stops exploring. But we're not done. Because mistake 6 is what turns a spark into ash. You ignore your boundaries. She crosses a line, and you let it slide. She tests your standards, and you stay silent. You laugh off the things that hurt you, because you don't want conflict. But here's the truth. A woman respects a man who respects himself. And the moment you abandon your boundaries, she stops trusting your masculine frame. Now we arrive at mistake 7. The final one. The one most men never catch until it's over. You stop being present, not physically, emotionally, mentally, energetically you're with her, but your mind is somewhere else. You're listening, but not hearing. You're responding, but not connecting. Presence is the fuel of intimacy, and without presence, interest dies. But here's the twist. While these mistakes are common, they're also completely fixable, and this is where the teaching begins. Because attraction isn't maintained by perfection. It's maintained by awareness, by the ability to correct self-correct, by the willingness to grow not for her, but for yourself. A woman doesn't stay interested because you chase her. She stays interested because you're a man she can't replace. So, let's turn each mistake into its solution. Live your life with purpose. Be emotionally steady. Communicate clearly, not fearfully. Lead with quiet confidence. Keep a sense of depth. Your passions, your mission, your individuality. Protect your boundaries, and stay deeply present in every moment. When you embody these principles, women don't lose interest. They lean in, they invest, they pursue your presence, because your energy makes them feel safe, inspired, and drawn in. And now, the emotional payoff. Most men fear losing a woman's interest, but the truth is, once you become a man rooted in purpose and strength, you stop fearing loss altogether, because you know one thing: a woman can leave, but your value stays, your growth stays, your mission stays. And when a man chooses growth over fear, life gets easier, relationships get richer, and love becomes something you attract, not something you chase. Now let's escalate this to a deeper truth. The reason these mistakes hurt you is simple. No one taught you how to show up as a grounded man. You learned to react, not to lead. You learned to cling, not to stand firm. You learned to overgive, not to self-respect. But today, that changes, because awareness is the beginning of mastery, and the man who becomes aware becomes powerful. So, here are your key lessons. Women don't lose interest suddenly. They lose interest gradually, silently, predictably. Interest dies when you abandon yourself. It returns when you rebuild yourself. The real work is becoming the man you were always meant to be. A man with presence, a man with direction, a man with purpose, a man who inspires interest effortlessly. And now, the final payoff. You don't need to chase interest anymore. You need to elevate yourself. Because when you elevate, the right women rise with you, and the wrong women fall away. That is how men keep interest, not by force, but by becoming unforgettable. If you want to grow into the strongest version of yourself, and if you want to master relationships from the inside out, subscribe to Better Now and turn on notifications for your daily growth.